Hello, I'm Lauren Markham. Thanks for joining us for our last edition of AFL Riverina TV this year. Ahead of a massive Riverina League Grand Final, a rematch between traditional rivals Gully and Mango. Shortly, we'll be hearing from both coaches, but in the studio, we welcome Dusty Rogers from the Goannas and James Kennedy from Collingullie. James, last year, you were with your brothers, you celebrated a premiership victory at Narrandera. What did that mean to you and your family?
It meant a fair bit. I think most of all, Mal Man was pretty happy. He played in a couple of grand finals with Gully, so it was good to see. I think he was happy to see us get a win. So rather than that, us four boys just enjoyed playing with each other, and the grand final win just topped it off, really.
And did you think that Matt was going to be back this year after that knee injury?
No, I didn't, because he looked like he was in some pain on the ground, and when he first got back from the physio, he said it wasn't really good news, so just thought he was out for the year.
So have you spoken to him about his set shots for goal, and do you think we might see him in Gully colours again?
I probably don't think we'll see him in Gully colours again. I'd like to see him in Gully colours again, but I think he's got a pretty promising career ahead of him, so I hope he does well. And haven't spoken to him about his set shots because none of us brothers are too good at kicking goals either, so no.
That's all good then. Dusty, the other side of grand finals is always hard. Last year was particularly painful for you guys, obviously missing out in first grade, and then Mango also lost in the two lower grades. How much has what happened last year spurred you on this year?
Probably not so much. I mean, I just down there is a nice day because I love the club, great club, and just had fun there all year, so that's why I didn't leave. But I think the first game this year, it was a bit of a motivating factor, but then after that we haven't even talked about it.
And what have you enjoyed most about Chris Danaher's coaching?
Probably the off-field stuff. I mean, he's changed our game plan, which everyone enjoys, but he's really emphasised having fun as a group off the field, which has brought us all closer together and probably helped on the field as well.
You guys have got new coaches at your club, obviously, with Brett Lenon and Chris Gordon taking over. They've, had a couple of incidents this year with injuries and things. Where were the times during the season when you thought things might not have come together?
Yeah, well, I didn't really think that things wouldn't come together. Most of the injuries were just minor, so I thought, we work hard, we train hard. I just knew that if we could get a couple of wins together and make finals, if we could get our full list together, we were always going to give it a red-hot crack come finals.
And it's obviously been a tough run to the finals, but what have you liked about your team's performance?
Just to never give in, really. Like what you said, we have had a bit of an interrupted year with injuries, so just to keep fighting when things didn't really go away all this year, so that's probably what I've been pleased about, and our young blokes really step up, which they did last year too.
And Dusty, Gully have had a hard run into the decider, and you guys have had one game in a whole month. Is that an ideal preparation?
Given the heat and that, probably yes, I think so. I mean, everyone at the club's feeling really fresh and up and about and excited, and playing in the heat on the weekend probably wouldn't be ideal coming into the grand final.
And you guys have been the most consistent side all year, and you do have a bit of a different look to last year. Who do you think are really important for you this weekend?
Well, I think generally as a whole team, everyone's got to perform, but I mean, our midfield, especially if Harry Collins can get a roll on as he has all year, he'll be very dangerous, but then if he can't, you've got everyone else that can have a crack too.
Well, we'll come back to you guys in a moment, but first we'll take a look at what the coaches had to say during the week.
It's just an exciting week. It's been a great achievement by the club to get the boys, the boys are through to another grand final, and it's just exciting. From the time that you're in, I've been on edge all week, driving the missus up the wall and that sort of thing, but it's just good fun. You really know you're alive grand final week. It's good. Things happen for a reason. I'm a big believer of that, and them early results have well and truly helped us get to where we are now. It was a really good kick in the guts for us the second time round, which was when our season started turning around. Now, when things are going good, you don't have to change anything. It's one of them things that, kick in the guts. We've got to change something. We've got to get on board and go forward from here. So it's actually helped us to get us to where we are. Just attitude. We were early in the year, I guess coming off last year's premiership, hunger was a small issue. But yeah, that game really jolted us into gear. It really hurt the boys, and it did jolt us into action.
Trevor, a lot of guys playing this weekend probably don't have that sense of Mangoplah-Collingullie rivalry that goes back.
Yeah, I do.
That's what I was about to ask you. How much would it mean to beat Collingullie in a grand final?
Well, I grew up with Frank Kennedy and Craig Hyde. We played in the under-10s together, and so it goes back a long time for myself. But that's a long time ago. We've got a new set of players now. They wouldn't ever remember those days, so it's a pretty special time for them to, play in the grand final last year, play in the grand final this year. I know that back those days we had a lot of success, but what our aim is to get that club up and firing. As Tracy said, we've got 5 teams in the finals. Again, similar to last year. The club's been working very, very hard, and we just hope this can continue, not only for this year, but future years to come. Chris and I, get on really well. He's had a big influence this year. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today because they're just finishing shearing. He's had a couple of busy weeks. But working alongside him has been very special, very, very special. I think what I can relate to him is the emotional side from years back, and I just love the club. It's a sensational footy club, and we just want to get the whole club up and firing to what it used to be back 10 and 20 years ago. So it's a very exciting time, as I said, and some of the players are just really like they can't wait to get out there on Sunday. A few of them are hurting, of course, from last year, which is a good sign. But at the end of the day, bring it on. It's a huge job, isn't it, Brett?
It is.
It's a huge job. Takes a lot of time, and if you can spread that workload a little bit, it just makes it a lot easier. I've got a family, Chris has got a family, Brett's got a family, so it just makes it a hell of a lot easier if there's a joint effort. And it's like the footballers, it's a joint effort. He's a bloody good bloke, and that sums it up. And secondary to that, he knows a little bit about football.
As far as last year's grand final, helping us on Sunday, I don't think so. For the 2 hours that you're out there, we won't be thinking about last year's grand final or the past 50 years where Collingullie's featured in grand finals. They've got a really good record, but that for the 2 hours on Sunday, it's not going to help us. We've just got to get the job done.
It was only mentioned once. The game when we played Turvey Park last round, it was only mentioned once, and I think that impact is there. I noticed Harry Collins mentioned in the paper that he doesn't want to feel like he did after that game last year. So to keep it simple, we've only mentioned it once, and the players know. I think we all knew that Collingullie should have won that game the way they played. I know it was only 4 points. They, at the end of the day, even though it was so close, it could have went either way. But the way Collingullie played, we actually thought that they deserved to win. So they definitely deserved to be in the grand final. And that's history. We need to look in the future.
Mentally and physically, yes. We've had to be up for, it's been longer than 4 weeks, to tell you the honest truth. But mentally, they've grown. Mentally tough, really tough mentally. And that's because of the hard track in. So in some ways, that could give us a mental edge. But again, for the 2 hours on Sunday, we've just got to give everything we've got. Physically, we've had a fresh week. We'll be fine that way. They'll be as fresh as we can possibly get them. But the mental thing is the key. They're mentally tough. They're battle hardened, and they're just ready to go. They've come a long way, and they're ready to finish the job, mate. Yeah.
Are you likely to go with the same 22?
Quite possibly. We'll be. There's a couple of cases for a couple of other players, which we'll be talking about Friday night, but possibly it'll be the same 22.
Is Mitch Danaher going to be given every opportunity to play, Trevor?
Yep, he'll play.
Well, they haven't got one particular strength. They're pretty strong across the board. They got good goal kickers. Their on-ballers help their forwards kick goals. Their back line's tight. They're a pretty well drilled, tight-knit group. So you know, their strengths are everywhere. It's just we just have to simply work harder than them. Yeah, for sure. Well, they're both class acts. You know, Brad's been around for a long time. He's and consistently been at a really high level. You know, possibly could have gone to the next level if given the same inroads to the AFL were there 20 years ago. I'd say we'd be watching him on telly. So it's exciting for him. It's just, I'm excited for him to be able to. He's given the chance to go out with a bang with a grand final shot. You know, that'd be a real fairy tale ending for him. And he's like I said, he's a class act. I've enjoyed watching him his whole career pretty much. Matty Kennedy's similar. He's just a class act. He's going on to, you know, bigger things, and it's also exciting to have watched him. I remember he was 11 years old and he was training with the senior squad, you know, on a Friday night and marking the footy and kicking the football like a grown man. So to watch him now grown up into a man, it's really exciting, and yeah, there's big things coming for him.
And Trevor, what about Cole Sandbrook? He's probably gone along a little bit more quietly this year with injury, but what would it mean to see him win a premiership having come back to Mango?
Oh, it's huge. I can remember carting home with his old man, actually, out in Mangoplah. That's where he grew up. Grew up in a house just down the road from the footy ground, and so he's really a Mangoplah kid that sort of grew up there. Went to the Swans when he was 19, and you know, played football in some pretty top leagues down in Melbourne. And for him to come back last year and this year to make the special effort, he and Petty to drive that far, has been a huge input to the footy club for such a local kid. And of course, at his age, being the end of his career, that was you know, it's pretty special, and that's what's driven Cole to come home. He's still got family here. He's a Mangoplah kid. You know, he's in his early 30s, so it means a hell of a lot to Cole and his family.
And just one last one, where would you both be happier playing at Narrandera or Robertson Oval grand final day?
Doesn't really matter, mate. We're both going to play there, so doesn't matter. As far as I'm concerned, yeah.
I'd play on the moon if it's a grand final.
That's it.
James, your 2 games against Mango have been pretty comprehensive losses. What makes them so dangerous, and what will you have to get right on the weekend to get one over them?
Well, I think they're a very well spread side. They've got 22 even contributors, and when I watched them that last game, that they flogged us by about 60 points. They had a really good forward press, I found, so coming out of defence against them is pretty hard because they really lock it in, and they've also got some good A-grade players, obviously, with Danaher, Sandbrook and the 2 Collins boys, so they're a good side.
Dusty, you guys haven't played each other since way back in June. From what you've seen, who holds the key to Collingulli's game, and how do you stop them getting a run on?
Well, they've changed a lot since we played them last time, but I don't think you can concentrate too much on one player. I mean, if you concentrate on Gordo, Klemke can tear you apart, so you've really got to shut down their whole side, really, to beat them.
Well, thank you guys both for coming in. Best of luck on Sunday. That's our last episode, guys, so thank you everybody at home for tuning in all year. And you don't see them, but thanks so much to these guys, the cast and crew at CSU. See yous.